The night is officially here. It is NFL Draft Night 1, Round 1 in Green Bay, and the Bears going to be on the clock and maybe sooner than what we think. There's been more talk, and we're here to talk about it all. Welcome in to the Bear Report NFL Draft Show, live reaction from everything happening up in Green Bay as they kick things off. I'm Steven Johnson. He is Nick Whalen. And Nick, again, talked a lot last night about what the Bears could potentially do. The chatter has not stopped in many different ways, and I still have no idea what the Bears are thinking right now. And part of me is scared to death, and the other part of me is just really excited that it's not so clear cut like it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Well, I had the because I used to do the show with Robert Schmitz. People know that one, and he was very pro Brian Murphy, the D tackle from Texas. I was very anti him, and so I just had relief when they went Roma Dunze last year. But I agree with you. This is so wide open. We're hearing very strong rumors today of Jacksonville trading up with Cleveland, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, so then Cleveland could take a running back. So I'm going through on my mind, okay, could they take Gentino? Going through the list, but at least it's going to be entertaining, man. Right? It's not going to be like chalk and really boring.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I think to that point, even on the flip side of that, there's some. I don't know how much weight you want to put on it, but yes, the Jacksonville, Cleveland, and then there's a beat reporter that comes out and is like, "Well, Jacksonville's interested in wide receiver, and they don't have to worry about waiting for pick 6 and pick 7 and pick 8 and pick 9, and magically she stopped on pick 10, which we all know is the Chicago Bears."
Right.
And so now, just kind of adding fuel to that fire, if that's indeed what could potentially happen. At the end of last night, also talked that, there might be a deal in place if a certain player is there. I don't know. And we're waiting now, I believe, for things to get rocking and rolling. I believe Roger Goodell in any minute is going to set the clock for the Titans, and we get to have the 15-minute countdown of waiting for Cam Ward to be announced as the number 1 overall pick. But really, it feels like this draft, I thought at first, would start at 4. But to that potential trade that you mentioned, now I just kind of want to see more chaos early on just to throw everybody off.
And again, this is going to sound bad. Oh, this is a cool touch. So we're watching the NFL Network 1, and Roger Goodell's riding a bike. And for people that don't know this context, so I live in Wisconsin, unfortunately, but I feel like that I'm more dedicated Bears fan, y'all. Okay. But the context here is the Packers. It just started off as a weird tradition a long time ago where a player was like slowly getting to practice, and the kid had a bike and he let him use his bike. And now it's a thing where kids will have their bikes there, and they'll kind of run alongside the player who will ride the bike from the facility to the practice field and back. And it's a cute thing. So you're seeing people on bikes right now on the stage. That would be why.
Is that Lil Wayne?
That was Lil Wayne. Now he's a Packers fan. Remember, he tried to do the green and yellow thing, and all that kind of stuff.
He ripped off Black and Yellow. Let's clear the air on that one.
Black and Yellow it's a nice song. I see James Jones on the stage. Who else is on there?
I mean, for what it is, though, I mean, it is a cool thing that they've done every training camp, and you got to give credit where credit's due, even though we don't want to give the Packers a ton of credit. It is, a nice thing to integrate into the community, because frankly, looking at where this is in Green Bay, it is literally houses within a block of every radius direction for where this stage is.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Yeah, I do think Lambeau's a cool stadium. I'm not going to be a hater. It's cool. I've been to one Bears game there, and if you're wondering, they did win. Okay, the Bears won.
Good.
Okay, Christmas Day 2004. I was a sophomore in college. That's how old I am, y'all. And then actually I did a Spartan race, which I got all these behind me, y'all. I do Spartan races. I went to a Spartan race there. They had a stadium one there. It was the one time they had one there. So. I think it's a nice facility, but like people don't understand, Green Bay is not big. It's like very few big buildings, and then just like regular houses. And I don't know if you saw some of the stuff on Twitter, Steven, they had like parking, and it's just like literally like, hey, this is a ranch house, and like just drive in the yard parking signs. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, back when the Kmart was still open, that was like the parking lot for the stadium, and everyone's parking there, and it's crazy just how integrated it is into everything. But again, it is a cool facility. They did it right for what it is, and I'm just very interested in God bless everyone trying to get out of there tonight, because that is going to be a
Yeah.
complete
The
disaster.
the other guy, I've been trying to figure out the other player on the left. So James Jones is on one side, and they have another player. I think that's Amon Green. That's the guy in the white t-shirt.
There's Clay Matthews.
Yeah, Clay Matthews. Yeah, with the bun. Is that Jordy next to
Hmm.
him? Maybe that's Jordy Nelson in the blue long sleeve, but then Mason Crosby. But the guy in the black hat, white t-shirt, I think it's Amon Green. Can we get a confirmation? What do you think?
It is Amon Green.
Yes.
That is Amon Green next to
That
James
was just
Jones.
stewing in here for a while. I'm like, I'm gonna get that one eventually. So cool story. Amon Green coached at Oak Creek. I coached there one year. We weren't there at the same time, but his son actually went there. So he's kind of stayed in Green Bay and kind of had a
And
family going on.
it's wild how many former Packers actually stay in Wisconsin and kind of tie themselves into the community. I mean, even just dating back into the '90s and the Super Bowl team in '96, there's a lot of them from that team as well. Leroy Butler is all over the place. With a lot of different things. Donald Driver, the same thing. So it's a lot of the usual suspects that we're seeing here. Mason Crosby over there as well. Man, he's looking old. Look at that gray hair.
I know. Well,
Uh,
it's weird. It's weird they don't have Brett or Aaron there. With all of the controversy and the bad feelings. Weird they don't have those legends up there.
yeah, you think Brett would want to swing by the Favre Steakhouse and check on things, make sure everything's going smoothly up there in Green Bay, but I guess not.
Yeah, that's it. It's just kind of funny. Like two of the most famous players aren't there.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's we'll just continue to fuel the fire there too. But
Oh,
the Titans are officially on the clock. They have less than 10 minutes to go. So again, just a matter of the perennial milking of the time to get down to Cam Ward from Miami being the number one overall pick. They yesterday announcing they were not even taking offers for the number one overall pick. I mean, I don't think there were many people even asking for the number one overall pick this year, but never know. And so, again, once this gets out of the way, then we'll see just how very real all of these trade rumors have been, because a lot of the talk here has been there are upwards of 5 or 6 teams looking at moving back that are in the top 10, which is a wild number.
yeah.
But again, kind of talks to the top heaviness of the blue chip players in this class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, to me, there's really only two. I think Cam Ward's a decent player, and ironically, if you want to compare him to somebody, y'all, I think he's kind of like Jordan Love-esque, where like he's got a bunch of potential, but there's a lot you got to refine. And as we're seeing with Jordan Love, it doesn't all come together. And we'll see what happens with Cam Ward. I hope they insulate him, man. I know they were building up the O line there, but insulate him with more weapons and more things so he can actually do something. I actually got to watch Cam Ward play here at Madison, playing the Badgers when he was at Washington State, and they upset him. They beat him. So it's kind of shocking. I mean, because they were Washington State isn't that great,
Yeah.
but not a bad player. But again, Tennessee. I mean, man, at some point, like you want them to do well. I feel bad for franchises, man. I feel bad for like Detroit. I'm glad that they came back a little bit. Cleveland, you're next, man. Come on, like you guys have been like hurting for so. Obviously, the Bears are first. I want them to finally get a winning record in playoffs, but Cleveland is suffered enough.
They have, and even dating back to when they had all the beer coolers across the city when they broke the losing streak with Baker Mayfield. I
Oh my
mean,
gosh.
that was a feel good, and it's been a few years, and they kind of dug their own hole. We can go down the path of Deshaun Watson, and that's one of the big questions here is do they finally cut the cord based on what they've done in the offseason, they brought back Joe Flacco. There is that potential that they might just trying to finally turn the page there. There's some other positions where you got to wonder, especially when you give big contracts out to the defensive side of the ball and say, okay, maybe a rookie quarterback makes sense if you can figure out a way to unload that Deshaun Watson contract that has literally been a negative to everything that the Browns have given.
Here's a fun trivia question, Steven. Okay. Like I'm going to tell you the answer, but anyone listening, like you can quiz your friends maybe on this. Okay. What NFL franchise has every quarterback on their roster as a first round pick? And the answer is Cleveland. Yeah. Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, and do you know the other one?
Oh,
I like this. See, this is just brewing in here. It's good.
Yeah, it is.
In division, that's my hint.
In division. Oh, it's Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
So they've got some, guys with potential, but yeah, it's sad. And the other thing that's sad too is I'm happy for Baker, but Baker leaves and then he has the success that they should have had in Cleveland. Like you just see it and you're like, oh, and then Deshaun had success and then doesn't have it in Cleveland. It's just like, what is going on in Cleveland right now? But yeah, at some point I hope that they can kind of rebound and, right the ship. I have a lot of friends that are Browns fans, dynasty nerds, if people are into fantasy football. I used to write for them. They're all Browns based. I like the Nick Chubb. I mean, at some point they need to bounce back.
Yeah, you would hope that they, figure it out sooner rather than later. But again, you're getting a guy like Travis Hunter, and let's talk about him a little bit because obviously he's off the table for the Bears. In this regard, unless we see something that nobody saw coming, which I highly doubt is going to occur. But for a guy like him, where he's your first two-way player in a long time, do you feel as though somebody like him is more set to play one position and one position only, or do you see him, kind of being that two-way player at the NFL level in addition to what he did in college?
I think he will play both ways. I think you need to be smart about it. But if you, and again, there are a lot of research here. The corners, they do not last. And so in terms of shelf life, I know people talk about running backs, but corners don't, because it's such a reactionary position in terms of athleticism. I would rather play wide receiver if I was him in some corner versus the other way around. So, pick is in.
There we go.
Drum roll. Oh, we got. I mean, we have this muted, y'all, but I don't know what Rappaport is saying. You guys can chat stuff in if you want.
Yeah. Again, if you're watching tonight, you have any questions, any comments, do feel free to drop them in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter with the Bear Report. As again, it's going to be a fun night. We're happy to have those conversations with everybody that is listening and watching with us here. So yeah, again, and one of the things that came across here that you just shared here with Mary Kay Cabot, and if you're not familiar with that name, she is Cleveland media when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. She is royalty for Browns media, and it is looking as though the Browns are looking to trade down with the Jags to number 5. And quote, I don't believe the Browns would trade away from Travis Hunter unless they get an extra first rounder in return.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then here's another one, y'all. This is from Jeff Howe. He works for The Athletic, so this isn't just some guy on Twitter. Says if the Browns trade down with the Jaguars, they might not be done. The number 5 pick could be the landing spot for a team like the Bears to come up from number 10, according to a source. First round is about to get interesting.
Is Cleveland that good to be trading down twice and stockpiling picks? I mean, that to me, that's just waving a white flag for 2025.
I think they need so much help that it's not just one player, they need a bunch of players. So to me, I'm okay with that one, because if you're continually stockpiling picks, you're going to really insulate the team. So I think it makes sense. Oh, Cam Ward, Tennessee.
Shocker.
All the shock. Yeah.
And there it is. First pick is on the board. Tennessee Titans selecting Cam Ward.
The trade is going through. Sorry. The trade's going through. I'll
Yeah,
report
go
right
for it.
here.
Go for it. Let's see it.
This is Schefter, so this is not a bad account. So the Browns are trading 2 overall, their 4th round pick and their 6th to Jacksonville for 5, a 2nd round pick, a 4th round pick. So it looks like the 4th round is moving down a little bit, and a 1st round pick next year. So basically it's a 1, 2, and a 1st next
Wow.
year for 2 plus Jacksonville. Jacksonville moves up in the 4th. And yep, and then they get a 6th. Wow. I didn't see that coming, huh?
No. That's an overpay. In my mind, going from 5 to 2, and that's what you're giving up. Ah, man, you're planting your flag, and that Jacksonville roster is not built for that kind of trade whatsoever.
It is fun though. You think Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, maybe Trevor Lawrence is going to look solid to good again?
Oh man, that that makes you wonder what Jacksonville sees in Travis Hunter as a wide receiver or as a corner, because there's a lot of people who say corner is his better position in the NFL.
Yeah, I think
this doesn't say that to me.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, he's a way more refined corner to me. And receiver, I think there's skills there, and it's his athleticism. He has to get, route running and things like that, but he's got really good ball skills. But I think what this does say is there's not good talent, y'all. After these 3 guys go, and it's Will Campbell and whoever else, it's kind of a class. And that's why Chicago's talking about trading up. Like, if you want to get your guy, there's only a few guys that are really good. Otherwise, you might as well move back. So I do think it's a good move for Cleveland because they get a 1st next year, and Jacksonville, there's 0 promises that they're going to be good next year.
Yeah, no, that isn't going to give any promise to what they could potentially be. So let's take a look here. Let's pull it up. Let me here, we'll get this.
Well, could they go Abdul Carter, I guess?
They could. They need the pass rush. I know that they've got some guys there that can get the job done, but this is the trade. Browns 2nd overall, a 4th round pick, number 104, and a 6th round pick to the Jags. 5, a 2nd, a 4th, and a 2026, which could easily be a top 10 pick still, in my opinion. Just given how, and again, you have a new coach, you're trying to navigate the waters on that. You don't necessarily know what you have. There was a whole bunch of controversy even over that and how that all went down. And I think a lot of Jaguars fans wondering, who the hell did we hire?
Yeah, 100%. And we joked about this off air if this were to happen, but everyone knows what Les Snead wore as a shirt, right? Blank them picks. So maybe this is, just he's doing what his boss would do. My immediate reaction to it's an overpay, but I've seen better trades made. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
Chicago's still getting benefit from that trade. So I'm just saying, Ryan Poles could do better. That's all I'm saying.
So I mean, essentially, for moving up 3 spots, they drop back 2 rounds. 2 to 4, 4 to 6, and then give up a 1st. It just, Oh, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
The more I wrap my mind around it, the more it's like, okay, to each their own. That is
because 36 is going to be. You think, okay, now if you think of the Browns, right? If they're like, hey, we're not going to go quarterback here, now they have 36, 34 to move up to that late 1st, right? They got ammo now to get, Milroe, Sanders, Dart, whoever they like, and to get that 5th year option. Actually, that's, if you think about it from that perspective, and plus they'll have the 5th overall, they'll still get a quarterback. Because now you have to have 4 guys that are 1st round picks on a roster. You know what I mean?
Right.
They got the 3. Now they're going to add another one.
I mean, yeah, it's, just trying to set records, not necessarily the right records, but it still gets the job done. So to that point, and that'll be interesting because you mentioned pairing those 2 round picks to get back in. There have been some familiar trades, and the pick is in. So we're going to find out here soon who Jacksonville is going after here. That usually it takes 3 second rounders to get into like the top 15. And so the question now, do they even look to unloading future picks now that they have an extra first in tow to go even higher? But again, talking about just how mixed that bag is, you also probably want to get ahead of teams like the Steelers, who
Right.
are probably going to take a quarterback if the right guy's there, whether it's Jackson Dart, whether it is Shador Sanders and he plummets. I mean, there was even talk about Josh Connolly Jr. at number 9 to the Saints today, so I have no idea what's going on.
Then you got the quarterback from Louisville, Tyler Blow, who's what, 25, 35 years old. He's been in college forever. There's rumors of him going in the first. I do want to say, you said 3 first to move up, maybe 15 spots or get in the 15. I did watch a movie last night, and it took 3 first to get the 6th overall pick. So I don't know. Maybe they could get really high. Draft day. Great movie. I made this tweet, man. People get so upset about it. It's a movie. It's like, it's not realistic. I'm like, well, what do you think Jurassic Park is? What do you think zombie apocalypse movies are? It's entertainment, y'all. It's not realistic.
But to that point, they cornered the market on something that was never done before, and people love it for what it is because there's literally no alternative.
Yep.
All right, so Jacksonville, Roger Goodell to the podium. Eric Armstead was the Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's there with Roger Goodell. So we're gonna have. He is pretty darn big. How small is Roger Goodell? That's kind of what I want to say.
I mean, I think Armstead's 6'7", 280. So
yeah, that's a big man.
Or probably more.
I believe. So is Armstead making the pick then? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, he can just pick whoever he wants, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
They got to go through the whole spiel, and it's like pins and needles.
Yeah.
Now that we've had this impact. Oh, here we go. All right. Oh, come on. I'm curious now if it is, going to be Abdul Carter. That's
just so many mock drafts are wrecked now just because they didn't have this trade going,
No.
To be fair, y'all, I joked earlier today, and I said no need to watch the draft. I picked, I already know the future. He's every pick, and I had this trade happening with Travis Hunter. So here, I'll link it to you, man. So if you want to put it up for everybody, if you guys just want to look at this quick, I'm 2 for 2. That's all I'm going to say. 2 for 2.
So if again, hypothetically speaking, in the next 20 seconds, if Travis Hunter falls to 3, that's going to throw things off even more. And I feel like at that point, it's going to be.
There's no way, right?
There can't be. But I literally, I'm scared to death of what this new GM is doing in Jacksonville now.
I mean, are they happy with him? Are they mad at him? I don't even know what the feelings are in Jacksonville.
I would have to imagine that there's some excitement. I mean, but unless it's for just a wild player, like draft day,
yes,
where it just doesn't make sense. There it is, Travis Hunter, Colorado. All right. So that is the pick. Man, they moved up a lot to go get Travis Hunter. Wow.
The one thing, and I said this last night on our show, the coolest part is seeing how excited these guys are. Their lives have changed. This is it. Look at how excited Travis Hunter is. This is his dream.
Yeah.
And a 5-star guy coming out of, high school, went to Jackson State, went to Colorado, it wasn't Bama, you know what I mean? And he still made his path. So it's cool to see that come together for him.
And for what he is as a player, and I know he got a lot of slack for winning the Heisman as the player that he is, and I think it's just for sole reason it's discounted just how difficult it is to do what he did as a player And yeah, the wins didn't necessarily follow, and usually that's a death knell for any Heisman candidacy, especially when it comes to, a non-quarterback. Um, but the dude can play. Like he is a star. He should be a star in Jacksonville unless they somehow royally botch everything about it, which I don't think they will. But that's I gotta see how they're expecting to use him. That's gonna be some interesting
I
interviews.
I just love how much shock you're in, man. This is the draft. Anything can
I
happen.
I know, but like for that much of a trade up, I mean, you're falling back 2 rounds and giving up an extra first for a corner whiteout. I
Uh,
mean, would you consider those necessarily cornerstone positions
it-
to be
they're
allowing that kind of draft capital?
I think they're premium positions. I will say that.
Okay.
But it's not the most premium position, but I just think it speaks to the class. It's not that good. You know,
Yeah.
I do want to do this though. I do want to pivot because we know New York's not going to go running back. We know, well, the Patriots could, but
They
I
do.
do think this does help Chicago with Genty potentially falling to 10. Because from what I'm thinking O line's going to go a lot. I think O line could go 4, 5, 6. I think 3 linemen are going to go before Chicago's pick. So, and I think the Raiders are going to go O line. They might now
Okay.
be able to stick and pick at 10 and get Genty.
So what you think? It's Membu at 6 for them, or
I
Will
think Kelvin
Campbell?
Banks is. I think they prefer
Kelvin
Kelvin Banks
Banks.
Jr. Yep.
Okay. Because I mean that's been the other interesting thing is where these teams, and we talked a little bit about it last night, just in terms of a lot of the bigger names in this class, specifically the tackles, whether they have, and I know Will Campbell's been at the forefront of this conversation, is whether they have the arm length to get the job done at tackle, whether it is right or left side. Um, Will Campbell being, the main piece to that, but then you have Armand Membu, who again very much scheme heavy. Then you have a 5-star guy like Kelvin Banks Jr. So they're just very interesting profiles for the top offensive linemen in this class. And like I mentioned, hearing that there's guys projected as late first, early second picks that could potentially go at 9 because the Saints are in such disarray right now. And I mean, they've been in disarray since the minute Drew Brees stepped off the field. It just has not been a fun place to be a football fan. I like that. That's the other tough thing. And the Giants already have their pick, and we're rapid firing here for what this is. I'm not used to this. Oh, you're muted, Nick. I try. I try.
I know I am muted. My bad. I'm muted. So, but let's just picture it this way. Okay, I'm just trying the Saints. Let's imagine Chicago didn't sign Drew Dalman. Let's say they didn't trade for Joe Tooney. They only got Jonah Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Right now, this fan base already has, I said this yesterday, PTSD from O-line because of past years. Imagine if they had those holes. Everyone would be like, oh my gosh, you have to trade up. We have to get Will Campbell. We have to be, the desperation is exactly what we don't have. We've prevented that by making the moves that the Chicago made. And so, but the Saints haven't because they've not good with the salary cap. So to me, like that's the benefit Chicago gets if they can just take BPA, they can trade up, they can trade back because they don't have this need. But the Saints do at quarterback. The other thing is if they don't take a quarterback at 9, when are they going to get a quarterback?
Maybe they believe in Spencer Rattler.
Oh
I mean,
man. Oh my gosh.
he ended the season on such a great note. You got to give him that, good old college try.
Oh gosh. Because I'm curious. I'm trying to think of their picks right now. They have 40, but I think at 40 is going to be too late to get a quarterback because you got, the Giants who now, are we gonna say the pick? Have we said it already or no? He's up there.
Are they?
Okay,
Yep,
then
he is
it's
up
Abdul
there
Carter.
now.
He just stood up. But
There you go.
So they need quarterback. Who knows what the Browns are going to do? I mean, the Browns could go Shador Sanders technically at 5.
They could, and it's oh man. I don't know what the Browns are thinking. I really don't. There are so many different ways because, like you mentioned, they could go running back. Nick Chubb is not getting any younger,
He's a free
and
agent.
Is he a free agent? I thought he
Yep.
was still signed there.
Nope. He's a free agent. Chicago thought of him potentially. Yeah. So
Oh,
they have Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong, but if you think of they have 2 early seconds, they could take Judkins, Henderson, Hampton, Caleb Johnson there as well.
you imagine if they go Judkins, Henderson in the second round and combine that, and just all the Ohio State fans losing their mind
Yeah.
over having that in Cleveland.
So, okay. All right. So on that thought, who are they going to go at 5? Are they going to reach and go Josh Simmons? They only pick Ohio State guys. Abuka?
I don't. I mean, it's just, man. I don't know what they're gonna do. I really don't know what they're gonna do. If they
I
go
hope
Simmons, then I'm just gonna say if they go all Ohio State because they're just like we don't know what else to do anymore. We give up. We're not gonna go spend 3 firsts for a quarterback that's gonna sit on the bench, tear his Achilles, tear his ACL. Um,
I'm all I'm saying is I'm 3 for 3 with my mock right now that I made like 40 minutes ago just on a whim with the correct teams.
So and this is one of the other spots. So this was really kind of the first spot in which the Bears were kind of rumored as a potential trade up. I know
Yeah.
that it was more on the Jacksonville side than necessarily with New England, and a lot of folks have been pushing Will Campbell to New England as a part of. Is that who you have set up here at number 4?
Yeah, I think they almost have to go him here. And the thing is they have needs everywhere on that O-line, so he can move around quite a bit. There is a Patriots beat writer that I follow very closely. He wants Genty, and the fan base is fighting him on it. So we'll definitely see, but I think it makes the most sense to go Will Campbell. But this is the time, y'all, where it levels off. They could go Mason Graham, they could go Membu, they could go Tet McMillan, they could go Tyler Warren. Like none of those I would think would be a big shock. It's like, yeah, they're all about the same area and talent.
Yeah, and Ramondre Stevenson has been there, for so long, and you know what you're getting with him, and it's not necessarily, a home run talent. And for what the Patriots have done in the offseason at free agency in trying to build around Drake May, it could happen. It could definitely happen that they continue to add through either Genty or McMillan. I think that oh man. I'm trying to talk myself into these scenarios, and I'm at a loss at this point. And I feel like it's been so cut and dry, but I think because that trade just threw me off so much, it makes me wonder, okay, like if there really are 5 or 6 teams looking to trade back, who are the others? Because clearly the Browns were
Right.
one. So that leaves another 4 to 5 teams. We know Jacksonville was one, so maybe that's cutting both of them. The Patriots,
Yeah.
will.
I got the pick if you want me to tell you.
All right, if you got the pick, we can roll.
I got the pick because it's all over Twitter, but also because I think now we got to talk about 5. The
Okay.
pick is in that the Patriots took Will Campbell,
Okay.
but Diana Rossini says the Cleveland Browns are taking calls from teams interested in number 5 per sources. I'm told they're open to moving down again. What would you give
make
up?
sense.
What would you now they can move up and get Graham or Genty. What would you want to give up to make yourself comfortable, Steven?
I don't feel comfortable at all about anything, and this is the problem with and this is the problem with the Bears in their current draft stash is that everyone is going to want the earlier pick, and even though
Yep.
it is just 2 picks in front, it's one of those like sticking points when there are teams that have that type of war chest.
Yeah.
It's going to cost a second round pick. You might get like a 6th back in return, but that's going to be it. Where it's going to be the swap of the firsts, a second, and you get a late pick back, if anything. I still don't feel comfortable about that because I think, to your point, there's the possibility here, depending on how these next couple picks go, where they can sit back and still get a solid player. Maybe not Ashton
Mhm.
Genty, but somebody that can definitely help this team. And again, several holes on the Chicago Bears roster
Yeah.
still, whether we want to admit it or not. And giving up a second round pick and turning 2 picks into 1 is not necessarily something I feel comfortable with right now, given, how things are going.
Yeah, I'm always team trade down, but with the fall off right here, you don't want to be there, left standing and you don't have a prom date. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
these are ones that are good. I did do this beforehand. If it's true that you don't actually have to pay what it costs to trade up, because everyone wants to trade down right now, I proposed 10 and 39 for 5 and 67. So you get their third, they move up a round, you move up 5 spots. And that's a deficit that they're not going to get their full value of 5. But also
Right.
I think sometimes that's, if you're trying for a quarterback, it's going to cost more. If it's not, it's going to be a little bit less. Everyone wants to move down, so supply and demand. I'd be comfortable with that. Anything else besides that, I would be like, kind of an overpay. But I would be excited if it's Genti, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the questions are now in place as to whether the Browns are going to move again with them already being on the clock. I think we're just waiting for the commercial break for the pick to be official on TV with what we have here. And so moving back to Mary Kay and seeing what she has, because she's going to be in the ear of anyone where, if there is that trade back here. And there was talk, so she mentioned this, that there were 2 players the Browns hosted for top 30 visits. Will Campbell was one, Mason Graham was the other.
Yeah.
um
I mean,
Defensive
if
tackle
they
with the
took
Browns.
if they took
I
Mason Graham here, right? You put him next to Myles Garrett, and you're like, that's a really good D line or
It is.
side, right? And then you could scheme away from that one and add another linebacker the other side. Like, you think of like helping your team out. That does make sense, because I'm like, that would be a good value, right? Because Mason Graham was thought to be 5 to Jacksonville. You could argue him at 4. That would make more sense to me in terms of premium positions, right? Than Genti, in my opinion, for Cleveland.
Yeah, I can see that as well. And it's a team that, for the last few years here, while they have spent heavily at quarterback and tried to get things right in that regard, it's definitely been a team that has been built in the trenches. That's what the Browns have been. And so if they want to, maintain that identity across both the offensive and defensive line, maybe that does make sense. There are more rumors as well, and you alluded to it earlier, that the Raiders are definitely leaning towards offensive line.
Mhm.
Um, so this is getting interesting here. That
I
they might not have to move.
I got the pick at 5.
It's already in.
I got it in because there's a guy that's, again, Andrew Freeman, Bear Report guy.
Yeah,
He quote tweeted it too. So I'll let you guys know, because again, it depends on what station you're watching and whatever else. This isn't us tipping picks. This is us getting ready for the Bears pick, because I want to get through
yeah,
it and then let's talk Bears. So
exactly.
Mason Graham is the pick at 5 to Cleveland. And
All
to
right.
me, like, if you could say, hey, you could have Travis Hunter or you could have Mason Graham, a second round pick and a first round pick, I would probably take the package.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, for like, Mason Graham doesn't make me go like, wow, like look at this guy, and it just
I think he's good. I don't think he's great, but
right. I'd
also
rather take the package.
right. But also, let's just say this right now. And Donnie said this here: the Genti dream is still alive. You know what I
It
mean? Like,
is.
here we go. Here we go, Donnie. We're going, man. This is right now. I feel like we're in Vegas and we're like, let it ride. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh
we're
man.
gonna keep him in. We haven't traded up yet.
And so I'm going to get I'm gonna go down the path of conspiracy here. That all this talk about the Bears trading up to get Ashton Genty is because teams knew he would probably last to 10, and they were doing anything in their power to try and get them to trigger and move up to get him.
Yeah,
That's my conspiracy theory right now.
but I agree with you. I think that's part of what it is. I think that they're trying to stir up interest. They're trying to see how steadfast polls will be. Also, if you think of it, they watch everything. They saw the
Right.
clip of polls being like, "Oh man, we got to trade up and get Rome." So then, hey, he is antsy, right? So if we can poke him a little bit, we might be able to get some capital out of him, especially if, and again, I know Jackson wanted to move up, but if you're going to get a great package, you can move down,
Yeah. Yeah. And
Now, I will say this, man, rumors are going that Genty might be going here. Nothing for sure. This is Slick Rick. He's a dog. He's a dog. He's insinuating it. We'll see.
I'm refreshing here.
That's all this is right now. This is just refreshing. Will Campbell's crying on air. Happy for him. Happy for him. But I will say this: I am very happy Chicago didn't get him.
So did you feel like he's a better guard than a tackle?
100%.
Okay.
100%. And to me, the problem I have is how do I know he's better than Braxton Jones or Karan Magaju with the short arms? Let's say he's 5% better. Is that worth spending a top 10 pick when I could spend that on another position to help out the Bears? Like, that's the part that's tough. I know eventually you have to sign people, et cetera, but I think he could be an all-pro interior guy. I don't think that's his ceiling on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, he got ripped apart in the pre-draft process. For a lot of reasons, and I mean, I'll give him credit, and for him to get emotional there, I do not blame him whatsoever. He handled it with class, and I mean, he was there and ready to rock with whatever was thrown his way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still seeing nothing.
I'm not seeing anything either.
Oh, man.
We're in a lull. Who knows what's happening? Maybe the Bears are trading up to 6. Maybe this is where the trade happens.
I would be
So if we think of this, O-liner's sitting there, Membu, Kelvin Banks, Tyler Warren. If we keep adding what we need to get to there, right? Who else is on this list? Jalen Walker. To me, right now we're almost getting into worst case scenario. If Genty goes here, we're going to start getting into that area.
I have to imagine that if the Bears stand pat at 10 with Genty off the board, they're going to go offensive lineman at 10. That just feels like the pick. Maybe not. There is still.
Oh, he went.
Did he? Oh.
All right.
The dream is dead. The dream is
dead. I'm not going to beat ups ever again.
Or wearing Crocs.
That's it.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's depressing. That's extremely depressing. All right. Well, I mean, to that point, as we update the banner along the bottom here and get that set, man, come on, that's frustrating. They got to trade down. Like, I feel like they have to. There's got to be something here that they need to do. Okay. I'm gonna blow off steam here. I understand Pete Carroll loves his running backs and wants a guy to run the ball, and the Raiders don't have that on their roster right now. That just sucks. Like that just sucks. And that roster is not built for that type of pick, in my opinion. Muted again. Okay. Dropping out, dropping back in. We'll be good. So yeah, Ashton Genty going to the Vegas Raiders at number 6 overall. So the Bears not moving up. All the talk was about the Bears potentially moving up. And the question, you say in the chat, you say it's up at Hallis Hall with with Zach, and I mean this is the question now. Where did the Bears pivot? Oh, still can't hear you. Okay. We're gonna hang around here. We got technical difficulties. It happens. Um, yeah, I mean, looking at the board and who is the best available here. Um, it's it's looking rough. There's a lot of tackles available, and I mean there's still some solid defensive ends there on the board as well. The Jets are now on the clock at number 7. Um, so again, looking even there's Will Johnson corner as a potential as well. So I mean there's a couple different players. I'm just depressed now. Like that was the guy. And now the guy ain't there anymore. So that kind of sucks.
Is my mic good now?
Yes, it is. It's perfect.
Okay, weird. Sorry. Sorry, I touched my mic, y'all, and then it went weird on me. So yeah, I was just gonna tweet out the the Key and Peele, the substitute teacher,
Yeah.
He breaks the clipboard. He's like, son of a that's where we're at right now. But
Yeah.
But I will say this about running back, okay? And I've preached this. I would go running back Genty, or I would wait until 72. So now if people are all about premium positions, we still can go Mike Green. And we get an edge rusher that can sack the quarterback, or we can trade back. So those are actually my other two I would be happy scenarios that are still available to Chicago.
If the Bears end up taking Mike Green at 10, I mean that's been your calling card. I feel like
I feel like it's Game of Thrones, right? Jon Snow, he's got the sword and the whole army's coming at him. You know that scene? That
Yep.
It feels like me. And again, I'm talking football player, Mike Green. I think he can really help this team. So we'll see. But moving back, I know there was the trade scenario moving back short, just a little ways for the Colts or one of these other teams. I don't care if it's 22, 24, whatever. I would move back to get a couple more day 2 picks.
Might not be a bad idea. There is talk that Tyler Warren is on the radar for the Jets at 7.
I'm fine with that.
So that would pull one of the tight ends off the board. Colston Loveland is the other that has been considered among the top names in this class. And again, maybe to the Bears at 10. Again, if Ben Johnson needs that second tight end and Durham Smythe ain't it for picking that up. So there is that possibility there. So if Warren goes, I think there was a groundswell of support for Warren as a potential Bears pick just because Ben Johnson talked so highly of him.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm fine with that. Like I don't think that's a do or die thing, or do or die position, given what else is available here between again some of the defensive line options and the tackles as well. I just kind of want to see a shocker, kind of like Michael Penix, though. And
for Chicago or for
no,
the Jets?
for the Jets, because
like,
I mean, you got
okay.
Justin Fields. You have Justin. No, screw that. No, I don't want to hear about quarterback for the next 12 years. Don't even talk to me about quarterback for the Bears. But I mean, you have Justin Fields signed to a 2-year deal. I mean, what is your future there? Maybe there's not the prospect that you really covet, but you could argue that maybe Justin Fields doesn't bring that magic he was clearly carried in some of those games by the Pittsburgh defense to get him to that 4-1 start, but he was still benched because the limitations were there. And you got to have an idea of what to do at that position moving forward. And I don't think Fields is it either.
But I think you have to stick with him just because of what's here. And again, like, don't reach just because it's a need. You're going to get a bad player. Right here, I think Armand Membu makes a ton of sense. Kelvin Banks makes a ton of sense. So I think those make sense, but we'll see. Is it Tyler Warren? Yeah,
Um,
Armand Membu.
wow. All right. Armand Membu
It's
off
a
the
smart
board,
pick.
offensive tackle.
I mean, Justin Fields getting protected. It's something he's never seen before. So I still cheer for him, y'all. Like I know he's not in Chicago. I'm going to cheer for that kid. I think he hasn't been dealt a great hand. So protecting him and then having him and Olufashanu, that's a great tackle tandem, man.
It is, and I mean that's the thing is you need to make sure that you're protecting your quarterback, which again the Bears are starting to finally figure out here. But again, with the Jets, that's been a problem for them for quite some time. So slowly but surely getting that situated. Again, mainly a right tackle in college with Missouri in the SEC, and now that leaves Kelvin Banks Jr. as the next tackle on the board if the Bears choose to go that direction.
I am just gonna sweat that one out, man. I'm telling you. I mean, oh
It's looking like that's the direction things are
man, I
headed.
know. I
I
mean, they could go. The Saints could take him. I don't. Carolina won't.
Carolina's
Carolina
going
makes a lot of
defense.
sense. Jalen Walker here. They could go Ted McMillan. They could go Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. They could go Shamar
Walter,
Stewart, Mike Green.
yeah.
But man, Kelvin Banks is just not going to excite me.
Well, look at it this way: if all works out, we won't have to hear about the offensive line for the Bears for hopefully 2 years
Yeah,
at
well,
least.
they'll still find a way to, you know,
Screw the food.
that day
Yeah.
two's like, hey, listen, maybe we should get some more backups. 39 and 41 should be backup O linemen, like it's never going to be good enough. Like other teams, it's like we need another weapon. Chicago, we have to have the deepest O line in NFL history.
Well, I mean, he sat there at the podium. We need 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. It's like, no, you don't. Give
Right.
me 5 that can stay healthy and are consistent, and we'll call it a day.
Exactly.
So okay, so let's hypothetical this here. Um, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. I think it's easy to say Will Johnson is off the board at this point in time. I don't think that the Saints or the Panthers are going to take him either, given that J.C. Horn just got signed to a massive extension, and then I mean the Saints much more pressing needs than corner. Walter Nolan, Michael Williams, Mike Green, Jalen Walker, Kelvin Banks Jr. So that's kind of the group there. Not necessarily sure if Tet McMillan would dive into that conversation at all
I
as
mentioned
another
him.
option.
I mentioned him on a show. Like if you're saying we need another weapon, right? And then we're saying we don't want to have, we want a premium position. Receiver makes twice as much as a tight end. And 11 personnel versus 12 personnel, really, it's your third weapon. You know what I mean? Or however you want to put it out there. I wouldn't hate it if it's your BPA.
But I mean, to his skill set with what the Bears currently have at that position in terms of weapons, you don't feel like there would be any type of, necessary like overlay to the how the Ben Johnson offense runs between the different wideout positions
I
in
I
that
think
scheme.
I think Rome could play in the slot. I think DJ can play in the slot. But I think it makes you. I mean, red zone threat. You have a 6'5" guy. You've got a 6'3" guy. You got Cole Kmet. You got DJ. Like, and then you get running back. I'd prefer on 72, but like, dude, you're tough to guard. And I think that's part of it for me as a coach. I'm not thinking of like everyone's going to get 120 targets or whatever. I'm
Right.
thinking of like, how do you match up? Because now you can take advantage of, okay, who's the weakest DB? We're going to take advantage of this safety because of this matchup or this personnel. Like, I think that's how Ben Johnson would think too.
And you could also say that that's kind of how they had it built in Detroit as well. And there were specific games that Jameson Williams was able to take the top off and have a little bit more success because they just knew that's the weak point in the opposing secondaries and defenses that they were facing. And
Mhm.
again, you can talk about Olamide Zaccheaus being okay depth guy. And Tyler Scott, I don't know what his future is with the Bears, all things considered. But that's really the wide receiver room. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So it does make you wonder.
And Tyler Scott wasn't drafted by Ben Johnson, you know.
Right.
So and we don't know what he truly thinks of DJ and Rome. We'd assume that he likes them, but maybe he doesn't love them. I mean, who knows? So having a true speed guy would make a lot more sense. So I'll give you that part of it. But to me, at this point in the draft, we're looking right now, we're all like, take good football player at this point.
Yeah, and CBS Sports with Tet McMillan ranked as the number 5 overall prospect, the number 1 wideout in his class. Jalen Walker, the next best available at 7. Kelvin Banks at 9. Mike Green at 11. So that is the top 4 there for who is left on the board for the top options through CBS Sports. Still waiting to see. It's been kind of quiet here.
It is
at the 8th pick.
The Panthers could do anything. That's why it's like,
are they the trade back option? Because we did talk about that as being, do you jump ahead of the Saints if the Saints get, obsessed with one of the quarterbacks that's left, and you want to make sure that, you have the opportunity to get ahead of them. So this this might be it, and that's why we're not necessarily seeing that. And I know as soon as I say this, I'm going to hit refresh and the pick's going to be there because that's how the 21st century works.
It is,
all
man.
this
It is.
technology
It's at
our fingertips.
It's at our fingertips. Yeah, it's crazy. Would you be mad if it was Mike Green, Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart? Would you be mad?
Shamar Stewart, I'm going to be extremely pissed. Like
I will
cut the stream and say we're done. This is bad. Fire Ryan Poles like that. Like I am so anti Shamar Stewart at this point in time that I will be livid if it occurs. The other 2, fine. Don't care. Think they're solid picks. But man,
I got the pick.
Oh, you do? Uh-oh.
You ready?
Let's hear it.
Tet McMillan is the pick at 8.
Wow. Okay. Well, there we go. Talking about Tet, didn't have to go very far in that case.
Yeah. Part of me though is, and again, like I'm happy for Bryce Young. I'm not cheering against the Panthers anymore, right? I'm glad he didn't fall to Green Bay. I was concerned. I saw some mock drafts. I'm like, man, I don't want Green Bay to get a monster like this on their team. So, hey, I like Usaid's theory here. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, here, let me pull it back up. So Pete Carroll interviewed for the Bears job and is salty that he didn't get it, so he decided to take Genty tonight as revenge. Stranger things have happened. And again, it's the tough thing because I feel as though this was kind of the talk that the Bears need to get ahead of the Raiders if they're serious about Genty. And I mean, it just falls into what Pete Carroll is as a coach. I mean, he wants that run game. He wants it to set the tempo. He did it for years in Seattle with Lynch, and then the 2-3-headed monster that he built out there with Kenneth Walker, and then Zach Charbonnet with his last year there before he was let go. That's just who he is. And Zamir White ain't it. With the Raiders. So it makes sense, but there's a lot of problems with that Raiders team that they're going to have their hands full to fix all the additional holes on that roster for the rest of the route here in the draft for sure. Lockie coming in, not a tight end. Please, not a tight end. It's starting to tick that way.
I know. It's not, I would be okay with it. I have all my stuff of my my feelings of each area, tight end, it fell down because of the hit rate, and so that's just that's an issue of like, you don't know if this is going to be Kyle Pitts or Noah Fant, or it's going to be TJ Hawkinson, or it's going to be, Brock Bowers. It's not going to be Brock Bowers, y'all. These guys aren't that level, but it could be solid. Man, I'm really hoping for a trade down now. I think that's right up there besides my Mike Green, which I don't think will ever happen, but that would be.
So
those are my 2.
So for the Bears pick, I think we have to wait and give ourselves the shock of watching Roger Goodell announce it
I'm gonna see
instead of
it.
being spoiled. Oh,
I'm not,
you're not gonna wait
I mean, I'm sure it'll come up. I'm
because
sure it'll
we're
come up.
probably gonna find out here in the next. My guess would be 10 minutes, 5 minutes even. They've been moving quick. I mean, we're only an hour in, and we're almost a third of the way through, which does not happen. Usually, the first round you're looking at 4.5-ish hours. But I think you can also say thank you to having this be on primetime television now.
Yeah.
They got to stick to those time windows, and if you're not on it, then see you later.
Yeah.
Uh, so
That's fair.
the Saints on the clock at 9. Talk has been tackle, maybe quarterback, depending, and I guess we'll find out what they feel about Spencer Rattler. If they'll at least hold him over for a year with a much stronger quarterback class coming in 2026.
Right.
So I mean, there is that possibility as well. But Jalen Walker sitting there now, because I thought Jalen Walker was going to Carolina. I thought that was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I understand he's not necessarily a scheme fit, but there's something about him I just got that feeling about, and I would love to see it. That's kind of where I'm leaning right now,
That
and it would be fun to see him be a hybrid linebacker, running him off the edge.
I think he's a good football player. I just don't know where he plays. And
Right.
if we're talking premium positions, an off-ball linebacker that can rush some is like one of the lowest on my list.
Fair.
I'd rather go guard than I'd go that. No offense.
Damn.
So, yeah, I'm just not going to be huge on that one. But talking about the Saints real quick, I feel like they have to go tackle. They just turned down Trevor Penny's 5th-year option. Ryan Ramczyk just retired. I mean, they are bad. So unless they have Jackson Dart, Shamar Stewart, or Sanders, right? High, I think you go tackle just because, like, to sustain your offense. Like, because without the tackle, I mean, it could fall apart, but just due to protection, much less your quarterback.
I mean, can you bet on teams that will lead the league in sacks allowed?
Yeah, it's not going to be good.
I'd put a nice healthy bet on the Saints. I'd put a nice healthy bet on the Texans, and watch the money roll at this point for what we got. So the Panthers selection about to be made on the network feed with Tet McMillan going to the Panthers and giving Bryce Young another weapon out there that frankly is sorely needed across from Xavier Leggetti from LSU a year ago. Do you get the pick? You got 9 here? Is that what the
No,
OG
I'm
is?
just saying Xavier Leggetti was just such a reach. Like, they needed somebody. They needed somebody so bad there. I even thought Tyler Warren would make some sense there too, having some guy on the inside. But yeah, I mean, to me, like, that's sorely needed.
It's Jatavian Sanders season in Carolina. Come on.
Talk about a guy that didn't want to catch the ball against Chicago this last year. It was embarrassing how bad he was. But if you're looking at this right now, man, trading down certainly could be an option, because you look at the tight ends are there. Anyone that wants to come up and get a quarterback is there. I mean, I'm not even opposed to, and again, I heard some medical stuff, but Derek Harmon, you want to go into that next level of D tackles, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, et cetera. Now, again, I think trading down, you're not going to get the huge benefit. You're not going to get the 2nd round pick, whatever, unless you move down to 23 or later. But let's say Kelvin Banks is there. You're telling me Houston wouldn't be like, hey, you want 25? And I mean, I don't know what else they have. They could get some good stuff. What do you got?
The Saints select Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle,
Yes.
Texas.
Yes. Woo!
Breathe.
Thank goodness. And again, y'all, solid player. I just think he's a reach because it's a tackle, and I don't think he's a left tackle. So, and also, I think I've been very, talking about Jon Snow in the, battling against everyone. I believe way more in Braxton Jones and Crown Amagaji, I think, than most Bears fans. So I'm hoping this means that we can give them more benefit of the doubt. If they go Josh Simmons or Josh Connolly here, I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah, it's the Josh Simmons would be a reach, and I still again the medicals is something I get concerned about with him, just on top of what his game is. You gotta trade back and do something here. But again, talking about teams that could potentially trade up at quarterback, but I think the other problem is
Can I time out real quick?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, because okay, Kelvin Banks, right?
Yep,
We don't know the next pick. Okay,
we don't.
I'm gonna put my phone. I'll do it with you if you do it. I'll shut
I'll,
it
I'll do
down.
it.
Okay.
I'll shut it off.
I'm gonna have the chat off. Okay. So you say it or whoever else wants to chat here. I'm not even gonna read it. And we'll just do it live. Me and you, we'll get it live. Are you cool with that?
I'm good with it.
All
I'm
right,
good
man.
with it.
Just because you suggested, I thought of him like, if it's a bad pick, at least we'll have some excitement.
You,
You
you, got,
know,
you
like
gotta have you gotta have the live reaction
yeah, well, we'll have
to
a
what
real reaction
happened.
to this.
And like I am so for those of you watching, I am in a padded room right now. Like this look behind the fancy curtain. I can't even thrash about and get pissed in this room if it is Shamar Stewart. So I mean maybe it's a safety thing. That I can feel better about myself here. If they man, please for the love of God, don't do it. That's,
I
that's,
would
that's all I'm
well,
asking.
I would also be mad if it was Amarian Hampton, who's been rumored, or Trevion Henderson. I would not be happy with those. Oh, Rappaport's on here. I don't even know what he's saying, y'all. So that
Uh,
we're so muted because we're locked into this. So we can't even hear if he's saying, "Hey, they're going to trade back," or whatever.
so he's talking about Derek Carr.
Okay.
Um, Still consulting with experts whether or not he's going to have surgery.
Uh,
And so really, it's just kind of teasing
I
the
gotcha.
pick more
You,
than anything.
now, if it was at this point in my fantasy football draft, Steven, what I would do now is I would go back to the Raiders and be like, "Hey, listen, okay, I know we don't have the leverage now, but 10 and what do you want? Let's like name your price here and see if we can't get this done." Like that's because it's like, oh, I don't like who's here now.
What has that happened anytime recently?
Uh um Eli Manning and Philip
Like,
Rivers.
I was trying to think of something other than that.
That's the last one I could think of.
Fair.
I mean, that was real funny, like awkwardness of Eli. Like
Yeah.
Eli's already awkward. That was like next level awkwardness.
Yeah. It's
So okay. Things I would be happy with here. Trading down,
yes.
drafting Mike Green, I would be happy. I would be okay. Derek Harmon or the tight ends. I'd be like, okay, right. Just a notch down, I'd be like, all right, they took him. Michael Williams, Walter Nolan, probably. And then the
Okay.
rest, I'd be like, Jalen Walker. We're opposite ends of that one.
Right. Yeah. And I know that I'm on my own little island for that. It's not a guy that's necessarily been connected to the Bears in any shape or form. Um, so I get it. I get it. Roger Goodell's about to make the selection here for the New Orleans Saints
Yeah.
at
I
number
mean,
9.
at this point, the Bears probably already have their pick. There's probably people just like so much emotion, but we're gonna do this, me and you, Steven. Okay. And anyone else that did this, like my phone is down. Like as a Bears fan in Wisconsin, if you don't think my phone is blowing up right now with like everyone like, ha ha ha, you took whomever, or you know, all the time,
You know, all I'm looking for to go across the bottom of the screen is trade. That's
Yes.
it. Is
Yes.
trade.
Yeah. Schefter comes up, Rappaport comes up, you're like, yes, that's a good sign. That's exactly what I want.
Oh man. So Kelvin Banks didn't make the trek to Green Bay. He's in Houston
Wow.
with all his family.
Can you believe he went 9?
I
9.
I think the Jets kind of forced their hand at this. In my mind, I feel like they were waiting on um Membu to fall to them would be my guess. And it's tough when you are so needy at a position like the Saints are, like you said, with how they've built that out. It's tough. It's really tough to just kind of continue ignoring it, even though even through all the mock drafts that we've done across all of our shows, that there are some decent prospects in the second round. It's not
Oh
like
yeah.
it's, all or nothing when it comes to that position, yet maybe the Saints felt that way in regards to certain players here that made them say, okay, we got to get this figured out now, or they pull a Miami Dolphins draft of a couple years ago where it's literally O-line, 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 O-line to try and stop
Yeah.
Tua Tagovailoa from having another concussion, and we all saw
Right.
how that worked out. So
They're showing. Oh, the pick is in. Oh boy, the pick is
uh
in. They're just gonna say it, or is it gonna be Roger Goodell? No, I think they announce it, don't they?
yeah, they will announce it.
Oh boy, so it's not a trade down. All right,
That means they must have ran to the podium with this.
I would. I know who I would take. Run up there and get a pass rusher.
I
What,
got
what,
a feeling it's Tyler Warren.
watch it be like Malachi Starks. You're like,
If
oh,
it is somebody so off the wall and they go that route, or they go like Matthew Golden.
oh man. I mean,
I, I think,
in terms of the offense, it makes sense. I don't know who are these two people. I don't even know who these people are.
I
They're not behind the podium.
Laura Rutledge with an announcement.
Just kidding. The pick is not in. The Bears are trading. This is about the schedule release. Get off of here. You can't do
Uh,
this before the Bears pick. Tyler Warren makes sense. Colson Loveland makes sense. D tackle makes sense. DN
I
makes
just
sense. They
so
can't go O
I
line.
guess great, since we have time, because they're going to sit here and yap about
Right,
what the
right,
date
right,
is
right.
and tease the date for 2 minutes. Where you rank this in terms of how this board fell for the Bears on a grade scale?
D.
Okay.
I mean, this is worst case scenario, right? No one good fell that you wanted. Now, if you were team Tyler Warren, I guess you could say that, but I also have Colston Loveland equal or better, so I think they're the same. So to me, I think it's very tough to like love what happened here,
Yeah.
unless you're team Jalen Walker like you. So you'd probably be a lot higher than me. But to me, this is I said either trade up or trade back. You don't want this to happen, and this is where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's okay, so May 14th. So I got two weeks. I have 46 text messages. So something tells me that this has been announced already, that my phone is blown up.
I maybe I need to move the mic in front so I don't hit it here when I'm mad. Here we go. They're happy. They're clapping hands. Okay. I don't see the one guy, the ball guy, calling anybody, so they probably didn't take a punter, like last year. Oh man,
I
here we go.
uh,
Here we go.
I don't feel good about this.
No, I don't
Like
either.
at
Nope.
all. Like
Nope.
feel
Don't put they haven't finished better than 500 since 2018. We don't want to see these stats. We want to see 1-0 in 2025 beating Green Bay in Lambeau. That's what we want to see. Here's Roger. Bears selection. Oh boy. I'm gonna take a drink right now. I'm nervous. And it's water. I'm not even like, it's just
Yeah,
water.
you can't even enjoy it at
I
this
know.
point.
Here we go. There's a lot of words I'm trying to read lips. I can't do it.
They're talking about Mongo.
Oh yeah. Should I like listen to him say it? Do you want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I'll mute and I'll listen.
Yeah, they're honoring Steve McMichael again, passing yesterday after a courageous bout with ALS, and yeah, tough, but just an incredible life and just everything that he was to the Bears and Bears fans everywhere. Um, Bears selection, 50th anniversary of when they picked Walter.
Oh,
They
come
got a
on.
lot.
Come
They
on.
got a
Come on.
lot planned for the Bears here.
Roger knows that we're not looking at all the tweets right now.
Just milking the hell out of it.
Come on. Here we go.
I think you're like 3 seconds ahead of me. Or 3 or 5 seconds ahead of me.
Wow. All right. I'm okay with it. I mean, do you have the pick yet?
Oh. Okay. Colston Loveland, tight
In my
end, Michigan.
Yep. In my categories that I posted, he's in my fine category. So it's happy, good, fine, okay. So he's in my of what's left. It's Mike Green, the tight ends, and Derek Harmon. So
I mean, I get it. I understand it. Again, to talk about the 12 personnel, I'm interested to hear. And again, pre-draft talk is pre-draft talk. The difference in how they graded Loveland from Warren and making that decision, because I feel as though you could make it an argument that they're very similar in nature. They're showing glimpses of Tyler Eifert as the comp here.
dude, Tyler Eifert
he was good.
I mean, before he had injuries, I loved Tyler Eifert at Notre Dame. So okay, so just talking through this, y'all. The difference between Colston Loveland and I said this on air last night on our show. Colston Loveland, I had over Tyler Warren. Why? Because Colston Loveland is almost 2 full years younger. Tyler Warren's going to be 23 for his rookie year. Colston Loveland just turned 21. He's got an inch longer arms. He's got a half-inch bigger hand. He's a little taller, and he's 8 pounds lighter. But you have a younger guy you feel like can grow into it. But he's more athletic. He, again, they were showing plays above the rim. I feel like he can win jump balls, better route runner, and a better blocker. So, like Nate Tice, if you guys follow him, Mike Tice's son, he did a deep dive, and he expected going into the film of wanting to like Tyler Warren more than Colston Loveland, but he came out of it liking Loveland more. Now, Tyler Warren, I think, has a higher floor right now because Loveland had a shoulder injury, but the ceiling is way higher for Colston Loveland. And when you look at this, you have, again, a guy that's helps in the red zone, helps blocking. Remember, if you don't block, no rock, right? We got that down. And is going to work that middle of the field. So to me, I think complements everything together well. I think better than Tyler Warren would have.
Yeah, it's and I think that, just based on that, now the question becomes, how specifically this is going to work with, 2 tight ends that are clearly more receiver than blocker with the way that they're built out in Cole Kmet. I know Cole Kmet was asked to do a lot of blocking last year, with the way that was set up, and again with the scheme that he has in place. But I think the other thing that I think people need to remember as well is that when Ben Johnson got to Detroit, he had no problem jettisoning TJ Hawkinson out of Detroit because he wanted to find his guy too. And Johnson, I think, found his guy with this pick. And so that makes it, I guess, a little bit more understanding from that end that, he needs somebody that can line up everywhere and do a little bit of everything. And Colston Loveland, I think, is that guy. It's just one of the big things on him that, clearly, you have faith in the Bears that they'll be able to get it situated is, just adding some weight, some muscle to his frame, because he's a little bit wiry for what he is and what he needs to do to adapt at the next level as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so now I'm trying to think through now. I'm like, okay, so does this mean that we're going to be in 12 personnel, a lot this year? Or does this mean this is the last year of Cole Kmet in Chicago? And you just talked about getting rid of Hawkinson, right? And that was led last year of his deal. Well, if we look at Cole Kmet's contract, y'all, after this season, if we were to, let's look here. I just had this. It's here. It's not working for me. It knew I was going to talk about it. If they were to, let's say they were to release him next offseason, okay, before June 1st, 3.2 million in dead cap, 8.4 million in cap savings. If you were to release him, later on, you split that over 2 years. So there's very little saved money here. But again, Cole Kmet's 11.6 against the cap, which I don't think is a ton. I would prefer to keep both of them, to be honest. But I think this, me and you talk about this from a coach's perspective. Okay. If you bring in, remember, think of last few years for the Bears. When they brought in Mercedes Lewis, it was a run play. When they brought in Khalil Herbert, it was a run play. When they brought in, think of whatever small receiver to pass play. It's very obvious what's going on here.
Yeah.
Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet run pass, that helps out that play action, that helps defenses. They have to guess. They'll have to maybe be a step slow in reading what's going on with play action. We know Ben Johnson loves that one. So I think this helps out the dynamic of the offense more, because you can't tell with play calls and personnel what's actually going to happen on the field.
I mean, that is a fair assessment. And again, you want to have that unpredictability to what goes into this. And you even just kind of pulling up a couple of the other things here. Strengths, elite route running, natural pass catcher, versatility. So again, inline, slot, H-back, flexibility in the scheme design, and then blocking ability. That he is highlighted for his blocking ability, creating running lanes, engaging defenders at the second level. So the negatives, like we mentioned, the physical strength, the catch consistency, had some concentration drops, some yips to what he had, but really there's not a lot to hate in terms of what Loveland is as a player. Pro comp is to Mark Andrews. He was the 12th overall prospect by CBS Sports, the number one tight end with CBS Sports, 6'6", 248 pounds. And like you mentioned, younger as well. So again, going the youth route, that has been a big thing for Ryan Poles, to get the younger players in here. And you even saw it in free agency, not necessarily, going after the older crowd, even though there were plenty of names they could have gone after in that crowd. Dio Dangbo, only 26 years old. Drew Dahlman, younger as well. So again, targeting those younger players, and then really just kind of finding a veteran presence like Grady Jackson on the defensive line that they frankly just did not have. So, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, okay, if it's clearly what Ben Johnson wants to run. Yeah. It's clearly going to be the fit, but to that contract conversation and what that is, now the conversation is going to turn that direction. Yeah. Because I think there's going to be a lot of those same comparisons made.
Michael Williams to the 49ers.
Oh, okay.
So no, and I'm with you there. So here, let me read this, and I actually have another thought on this. So this is Dane Brugler's The Beast. Okay, I'm just going to read the last part that he has. He says, and again, in regards to Colston Loveland, with his speed and ball skills, Loveland can line up anywhere on the field and win as a quarterback-friendly, multi-level receiving threat. He isn't a liability as a one-pop, get-in-the-way blocker, but will struggle to sustain or control NFL edge defenders. I think that's most tight ends, if I'm being fair.
Yeah.
Overall, Loveland doesn't have the skill set for full-time inline responsibilities, but his dynamic movements, natural hands, and football awareness should make him one of the primary targets in an NFL offense. His tools and upside are reminiscent of Zach Ertz. It's his 11th overall player. The Bears drafted him at 10. And I also think of this part of it, y'all. This helps out Caleb Williams. And the more we help him out, the more he develops, the more the Bears go. So they loaded up. They got 2 D linemen. They got some O linemen. Now they got another weapon for him. Like, the odds of him going for 4,000 yards, I think, are so much greater by having someone like this in the room versus going and getting, somebody else. In my opinion, even Kelvin Banks.
And it falls in line, like you said, with projections, and to the point of looking at what last year was. Obviously, DeAndre Swift was really the emergency exit for Caleb Williams when he was under pressure this past year. Had a few games where he just kept piling up the catches and the dump offs. Colston Loveland is going to be a major help towards the you got a shocked look on your face here.
Who do you think Dallas took?
Marion
Shocking.
Hampton.
Tyler Booker, guard Bama.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I like the player. Way too early.
That is not a Cowboys pick.
No, man. So like your boy, Jalen Walker, fallen.
That's
Like who else? I mean, obviously Stewart's there. I'm thinking who else is falling right now. I'm looking at his big board. Jalen Walker's the biggest fall. Him
that's
and Stewart
nuts.
are the only two outside of the top 13 that haven't been picked yet.
Man, yeah, Tyler Booker's 23rd. He was the number one overall interior offensive lineman by CBS Sports, but still there. And again, this kind of ties back into that whole when you get to pick 6 through 25, it's just a blended game, and no one really knows who's going to go where.
Yep.
And the level of talent is so up and down. Uh yeah, that's I cannot believe they went with Tyler Booker. That is
Like
not what I thought was going to occur.
I would be disappointed. Like with Colson Loveland, I'm not because I like the football player. To me, he makes more sense than Tyler Warren did in terms of fitting with Cole Kmet. And you see the upside, right? I know it's not premium position. I talked through Ted McMillan, the highest paid tight end just signed. It was 19 million a year with McBride with Arizona. But Colson Loveland's going to help out Caleb Williams. He's going to help out the offense, and he's going to create that tough play action dynamic in the offense. So I like it. I don't love it, but also it's worst case scenario what happened in the Bears at 10. So now, looking back, Steven, would you have traded up for Ashton Genty?
I still want the second round picks. I'm not going to say f them picks like some teams clearly did tonight.
Yeah.
Jaguars. But
That's the
at
only
same
trade so far, too.
That to me is more shocking than anything else. For as much as this is going to be wild and pretty chalk to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's not something that I necessarily expected by any stretch of the imagination. But I still want the second round picks. I still think there are going to be players there that are going to help the Bears. I have to imagine an edge rusher with one of those 2 second round picks. I don't think that the other running backs are going to go in the first round. Something tells me they're going to be there at the beginning of the second. And it might work to the Bears' advantage there, or else they're going to get sniped again just before their pick, kind of similar to, the obvious to what we were expecting there with Genty going to the Raiders.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this one. So if there's a guy that is there a guy that you love that if they fell, because right now we're in that bucket, y'all. It was like 8 to 50, where it's like anybody could go.
Yeah.
Is there a guy where you'd move up from 39 to get him if he fell, and let's say it's in the mid to late 20s?
Man, I want to say, and you've got me on Mike Green. I don't know what it is, but okay, so there's been all the talk about his off the field concerns, and obviously, NFL teams have done their due diligence on that situation. But if there's enough there for Ryan Poles to say this is worth the risk, and he drops to, we'll say 25. I don't think it's going to happen. But if he falls that far, I think that you have to balance the the pros and cons
Yeah.
of taking one of those second rounders and maybe a future second rounder to jump up and grab him. I don't want to get rid of both second rounders for him,
Right.
but I think you have to get creative enough to find a deal that makes sense. And really, that's the only guy that makes me say, okay, let's give it a shot.
Because imagine if you added a dynamic pass rusher, which you just added, and again, to me, they had to add a weapon on offense: receiver, tight end, running back. They'll get a running back at some point, but if you had a dynamic pass rusher to that team, oh, you're like that's a complete team. Now, I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. Okay, if Mike Green falls to mid-20s or later, then I'm concerned that the off of the field stuff is a bigger concern to teams
Right.
versus if he goes between 10 and 18 or 19. So that's the other thing to weigh is like, and again, if the Bears take him, you have to trust that their investigations on all this stuff is fine. So to me, I think that's the only thing. If they moved up and they got, they tried to get in the Malachi Stark sweepstakes, I could see it. I don't like a corner to trade it for a corner. Amari and Hampton, please no. Don't trade it for a running back at this point. So yeah, I would say that might be the only thing is if there's an edge that you love, or if there's a D tackle that you love, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant. If you love one of them, you want to sneak in to the late first, I could see it.
And we're going to be joined now by Usaid Koshel, hanging out with us here, back home. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
You
I got
nailed
the yeah, it's funny, man, because I got the Top Gun shirt on today. I don't know if this was like a coincidence or I was just like, hey, I'm just gonna be on Twitter all day firing up, takes and stuff and tweeting some things to kind of semi-troll people, but whatever, I think so. Nick mentioned it, right? Like from a coach's perspective, I think you look at what the Bears are getting in Loveland and everything I think certainly gets more interesting. And I said the exact same thing on our pre-draft live stream yesterday, where I admitted that, Cam Ward was the number one player on my overall big board for a lot of different reasons. But the big thing I think here is this, right? Is you're finally getting a player that is going to come in and all of a sudden like upgrade the run game, because again, 12 personnel means 2 tight ends, right? That means that you can go ahead and you can have you got your one running back, you got your 2 tight ends, you can run the crap out of the football. You can also go ahead and you can run the living daylights out of really, any sort of run concept you want, which for the Bears, this is going to be, I think, with the addition of Loveland now, this offense ends up becoming a little bit of a hybrid between like a outside zone scheme plus a gap scheme, because they can tag things and, go either way. But I also think this opens up your pass game significantly. Now, this is where I'm curious to get your guys' input too. So 12 personnel, for our viewers that are watching, thank you for tuning in, means you got 1 running back, 2 tight ends, 3 receivers. Do the Bears tomorrow night? Oh, my bad. 2 receivers. My math is off. But I'm curious to know though still. Do the Bears all of a sudden, with the way that this thing is going, start to suddenly say like, okay, we're going to go ahead and we are going to possibly take a receiver in round 2 just to kind of keep stacking playmakers? Or do you guys think like, hey, they're going to go ahead. They're probably, I want to say, trade back up into round 1 tonight, grab a running back, or trade back into round 1 tonight, grab an edge rusher? Because I could see either of those 3 scenarios happening.
I'll go first. So we actually just talked about this. Edge, you know who I would want if things check out, right? So I'm okay. Edge. I wouldn't trade back up if it was James Pierce or Shamar Stewart. I don't think that would make a sense. So mainly Mike Green for me. Like a Nick Scorton, a Landon Jackson, those I feel like you wait on day 2. If they're there, they're there. If not, I'm okay letting them go. D tackle, I could also see you say Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, if they love one of them.
Speaking
Receivers
of,
interesting.
Kenneth Grant taken by the Dolphins at 13.
Never mind. The dream is gone, y'all. I would receivers interesting for me because I see what you're saying, but also like let's picture this now, big picture. Okay. Let's say that they use $39 and a 5th rounder to move up. I'm going as cheap as possible to get a receiver. Okay. So they get a receiver and a tight end, and they've got one more 2, 72, and some 7ths. They haven't picked a D lineman yet. They haven't picked an O lineman yet. They haven't picked a running back yet. Are you okay if they don't get one of that position out of this draft?
I mean, I'm going to go. See, I go back and forth on an argument like that because I'm kind of just like, all right, well, maybe they decide after this to sort of dip into the free agency market and say, like, there's another veteran that we're going to go ahead and bring in. But I guess to me, right, the bigger question here is this, is if you are going to go, like, okay, so you brought Ben Johnson here. Why? Because you wanted him to work with Caleb Williams. Not because, you fired the last guy and then needed to bring in a head coach because you had a vacancy. Like, you brought Ben Johnson to work with Caleb Williams. So 50% of me is like, all right, let's go ahead and let's get, another playmaker on this offense. Just keep stacking talent. The other 50% of me is like, let's go ahead and let's continue adding to the trenches. So I think, it's interesting because the implications of tonight are also, and the last few weeks is also the fact that it's like, you paid Kyler Gordon, you paid TJ Edwards, you spent a hell of a lot of money in free agency with Drew Dahlman, Dio Odingbo, whose name I still can't pronounce. Steven's probably gonna laugh at me for eternity.
Odingbo,
Okay.
you were there. You were there.
Yeah. And then you obviously paid Grady Jarrett, right? So now I'm sitting there and, a lot of the scenarios and the simulations that Nick and I walked through, I was like, you can't walk out of the second round without a DN. So it's like, a D tackle or even an edge rusher, I would say, that you could kick inside. So just a versatile D lineman. So 50% of me is kind of just like, all right, keep adding to the playmaker. 50% of me is just like, let's go ahead and actually continue to address the trenches. Because honestly, like, the Grady Jarrett contract, big contract on paper, but it's essentially a 2-year deal. Like, at what point are you maybe going to start to say, all right, let's go ahead and let's start to develop that Philadelphia Eagles type defensive line philosophy, or even the Detroit Lions defensive line philosophy, where it's just like, hey, we may not necessarily have a need, but we're going to keep adding to this position no matter what. Because it's interesting, right? I remember one time watching one of the Lions pressers, and Brad Holmes, a GM there, his first or second year, he was kind of just like, well, my philosophy is that I want to go ahead and I want to take a positional group, and no matter how good we are at it, if there's an opportunity to add more talent, then continue to make it stronger and stronger and stronger, and basically turn it from being really good to being elite and being a monster. I think that that's the sort of urgency that Ben Johnson is continuing to operate with here, in terms of he's just like, yeah, no matter what, like, we already know we have a pretty good tight end on the roster. Let's go and let's add to that. Then let's add to our pretty good looking defensive line and our solid O-line. So you know what? Tomorrow night, I would say maybe it's smarter for the Bears to go with 2 picks in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it does make sense for them to go that route. Quick update: Tyler Warren selected by the Colts at 14th overall. So whoever's playing quarterback for that team this year, if it's Anthony Richardson or whoever the hell they decide to go with, they got Tyler Warren to throw to in Indianapolis. So it's one of those things. There's going to be one position ignored now. Again, to fit the need, and like you said, Ben Johnson coming in, working with Caleb Williams, building around him, giving him the most weapons to succeed in the NFL in his second year and really take that next step forward. Like years past, where it was the offensive line, it was the edge rusher, it was these concerned positions. We're going to get that again following the end of this draft. That much is for certain now, that we have seen the Bears spend a pick on a tight end that, again, you need 2 of them for this offense, but at the same time, you're going to have a lot of the fan base wondering, we have other things. Like, what's going on? It's going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. And we're kind of seeing that as far as the initial I've got a couple buddies that are down at Bourbon Street in the south suburbs. They're doing draft parties and literally saying the energy at the bar just got zapped with that pick. So that's
Oh, come on.
I think you're seeing, I don't want to say the meatball response, but I think
Yeah.
there's going to have to be this wait and see method to what this pick is going to mean for the Bears and the offense overall. As the offseason progresses, they get into training camp, and then finally what Colston Loveland is going to bring to the field with his skill set. It's not going to be one of those you're going to see it immediately.
I've got some fun facts here about Colston Loveland, y'all. So the people that are still here are going to get some tidbits you won't get anywhere else. Okay. All right.
Let's hear
This is thanks to the Beast, Dane Brugler. I can't speak highly enough of this publication. If you have a subscription to The Athletic, read it.
Best draft guide ever.
Colston Loveland from Idaho. Okay. Small town, 3,500 people. Grew up on a family farm, tending to animals, building fences, and performing other chores. He raised animals as part of his local 4-H program, competed in rodeo, and missed some school each spring to help brand calves for his uncle. Grew up dirt bike riding and playing sports, especially football. Now his oldest brother is 3 years older. Loveland often played up levels in football and basketball to be with him because he wanted to be like his brother and keep up. In the first grade, he saw minutes on the 5th grade basketball team. 5th grade basketball team. He saw minutes. And then eventually, just went on to pursue football, but competed in rodeo and 4-H, y'all. That's
impressive.
We got a guy that could have been on Yellowstone.
He kind of does have that look about him, though. That he's got like that rancher aspect about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because Steven, to your point about like the energy in the bar being zapped and whatnot, as Nick kind of, gets in and out. Let's be real. The reason you brought me on here is in case Nick's Wi-Fi and all that goes out again. But see, I look at this whole thing and I'm kind of just like, this is one of those positions to where you can't really judge the impact until you get out onto the field. I mean, that's the first thing. And you really see what he's going to bring to the offense. But then the other big thing is I guess, the advantage of the advantage of operating the way that the Bears have over the last couple of years is that when you do get to these top 10 pick scenarios, you ultimately do have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to what you're going to take in the draft, how you're going to take it. Now, let's be honest, right? Rewind to 2022 when Ryan Poles first got here. Didn't have a first round pick. Well, there wasn't really, a top tier playmaker in round 2 really even worth taking. So that's why they landed on Gordon and Brisker. Then you get to 2023 and it's kind of just like, yeah, there's a couple, playmakers that you could totally see the Bears taking, but offensive tackle was such a need. And you get to 2024 and again, you got Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams. I personally, said that the Bears should have taken Jared Verse or Odunze or even Olu Fashanu. But you take Odunze, and now all of a sudden it's kind of just like, because the Bears, and I said this on the house beat, but because they spent so much money on Drew Dahlman, they traded for Joe Tooney, they traded for Jonah Jackson, then they went out and they extended Jonah Jackson, and then they decided, well, we made these moves because we're not confident Will Campbell's going to be there. We're not confident Armand Membu is going to be there. We are iffy on Kelvin Banks, even though Banks and Campbell were both 3-year starters. I mean, having the flexibility that you have allows you to go with the way you operated in February and March, allows you to go with Colston Loveland. So, for anyone that is, I think of the 1,400 people that are watching this right now, if you're like, dang it, this thing sucks, shouldn't have gone ahead and taken Colston Loveland. Like, I think when you look at him on paper, the production really sucks, right? Because it's like 12.5 yards per reception over 3 years at Michigan. Now this guy's a top 10 pick. Well, part of it was because, let's call it how it is. Michigan could not throw the ball. Okay. Michigan was a team that honestly decided that they were just going to run the living daylights out of the ball with guys like Donovan Edwards, as well as the other running back that I, for some reason, cannot remember right now because Again, I'm not a Michigan football fan, but again, boom, like you have, a legitimate guy that's going to come in and upgrades both your running game, but also your passing game.
Nick, are we all good?
Yeah, I had to take out the puppy, man.
The puppy.
He's whining. So y'all, we're puppy sitting, and we have 3 dogs, so there's 4 dogs. And I can just hear him whining. I'm like, okay, he's like 13 weeks, and I'm like, all right, we got to let him out. So,
well, they're whining about the. I'm saying they're whining about the Bears pick, right?
I texted that as a joke to Steve. I'm like, who knows what whining we're gonna see here?
Yeah.
But
hey, it wasn't your whining because Calvin Banks would have picked earlier than when he was at.
Thank
the Jalen Walker drop has ended. He is going to the Falcons at 15. The Falcons took a long time to get that pick in. They were up with less than 90 seconds before that pick was dropped in. So that was kind of shocking there that
wow.
that occurred.
So they didn't take Mike Green because he's been mocked there a ton.
He has been. So to your point about the off the field stuff, I think with every pick you're going to see a little bit more uneasiness about what could potentially be there. The Cardinals are another good fit though.
They are
for Mike Green. So possibility there that
we've had what, one trade?
One trade.
Man, I mean, like
boring.
It was like a bang and then nothing. So Adam Johnson here, Colston Loveland said that Coach Ben Johnson told him he reminded him of Lions tight end Sam Laporta.
And those comparisons, man, that is the top tier of getting hopes up of NFL fans everywhere is making those pro comparisons.
But like, see, this is where I feel like Ben Johnson is kind of contradicting himself, because like, wasn't he just up at the podium a couple months ago during his introductory press conference talking about how this wasn't going to be a copy paste of what the Lions did on offense and how they're going to build an offense that is the Ben Johnson offense for the Chicago Bears. And so I think this is where, the issue that I have is it's like, all right, well, you're saying, can Colston Loveland be a Sam Laporta? You hope he has a Sam Laporta type impact on paper, right? At least with just the production alone. And then what he brings in terms of running game plus passing game. But I also think that, they're going to get really creative here. I think that, the advantage for a team like the Bears right now when it comes to Colston Loveland, and again, we'll try to, here at the Bear Report, work the phones and try to get some Michigan All-22 film to break down Loveland further for you guys in a episode later down the road. But anyways, I think, the advantage of having a guy like a Colston Loveland, I think, is that if you do run some of your formations like trips, for example, Colston Loveland's athletic enough where when you run trips to the field, that's 3 receivers to the field side, you can go ahead and now you can have, Colston Loveland way the hell out there because he is explosive enough for you to go ahead and have him, way out there where Odunze's in the slot or Odunze's, attached to the line of scrimmage and then DJ Moore's in the slot. So if he goes ahead and if he, he's able to basically open everything up for this offense.
Yeah, absolutely is. And here, let me see if this little tidbit that you dropped in here, Nick.
It's a nice route. So
it is a nice route, and it got me excited. I gotta figure out how poorly I can, shift my screens
can
around here.
The people want to see it.
That is the main thing here. This chip and go that we've got here. We got it set. We figured it out. There we go. Don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to hope for the best here. But this is just smooth. So right up here, in on the line, that you're going to see him, and he's just going to swing around and through. That's just pretty. That's just a pretty play.
Right there, I see smooth hips, which a lot of tight ends don't have. And explosiveness in and out of breaks, which, again, a lot of tight ends don't have. And right here, Bears Senior Director of Personnel, Jeff King, on choosing Loveland over Tyler Warren, said, "We think Tyler will be great, but everyone, coaches, scouts, agreed Colston was the better fit."
All right.
And one other thing going back to that, the Colston Loveland clip that we just showed there, it's just like I thought the ability to just flip his hips there, open up his hips, and get to the top of that route was incredibly smooth. So you talk about a player, that has incredibly good footwork as well, just in terms of his ability to, be a really damn good receiver. But then I also think that you look at where he's at in terms of his weight, like he's 248 right now. Okay. I look at guys like Sam Laporta, and I say that, Sam Laporta coming out of Iowa a couple of years ago, again, for the most part, same height. Sam Laporta was actually 3 pounds lighter than Colston Loveland was. And so it's a sticky situation to where everyone's going to be like, oh, well, can Loveland really be that Ben Johnson, Sam Laporta tight end that everyone's looking for? But it's like Sam Laporta had 32 1/8 inch arms, 10 and quarter inch hands, whereas Loveland had 10-inch hands, but he did have 34 and, I think, 32, almost 33-inch arms. So it's one of those where it's just like, Loveland's got slightly smaller hands, but he does have longer arms, which I think to me is one of the main differences as to why he was ultimately the better fit, which it's also.
Sorry, also to cut in here, also 2.5 inches taller than
exactly.
Sam Laporta is 6'3 and a quarter. So he's not a very tall guy. And then Loveland's is almost 6'6.
Yeah, and the other thing is
pretty darn good size.
Well, the other thing I'm gonna say is this, right? Is it's finally refreshing, I think, to have a coaching staff that is not just drafting players for the sake of drafting, that they're actually drafting based on what they feel like the players fit within the scheme is going to go ahead and be. Because that's, very much a foreign concept to this franchise, at least in, I think our lifetimes. But the other significant part of this whole thing is the fact that it's just like, man, they took Walter Nolan. Are you kidding me? All right, whatever. But the other significant part of, I think, the Loveland pick is that this is right on brand for me with the Rome Odunze pick. It's right on brand for me with the Darnell Wright pick. It's right on brand in the sense that you're taking players that, like, some fans seem to, really sort of be iffy on. Like, there were some people that were like, well, I don't think the Bears are going to go Rome Odunze because what if Malik Neighbors is there? Or what if the Bears trade up for Marvin Harrison Jr.? Well, you're taking a player that fits the mold of what you want in a first rounder in terms of a guy that is incredibly high upside, a guy that's a really damn good athlete, and then a guy that can go ahead and can really sort of eventually develop into a long-term building block. And again, this isn't just a pick for 2025. I mean, it's a pick for 2026 and beyond, because the interesting part is that if you, and I've chat GPT'd it somewhere, but if you look at all the tight ends that were historically selected in the first round, dating back to, I think, 2010, I mean, a lot of those guys didn't hit their stride until their second season. So this is one of those where it's kind of just like, hey, let's go ahead and let's just continue to sort of add to the roster here with a lot of high upside talent. And honestly, like, listen, this happens every year. If a franchise hits on a pick and a prospect, no matter where the hell it is, like whatever round, everyone after tonight is going to forget where that guy is drafted. Because then it's going to be all about, like, this is what so-and-so did, and he's doing in the league. Yeah. So, like, 28 to 34 months from now, maybe we're looking back at this thing and saying, yeah, well, Colston Loveland, the energy in Bourbon Street was that, but, like, here we are now, talking about how this was the best pick ever and Ben Johnson's the GOAT because, like, he pushed, what's his name, Ryan Poles to go ahead and kind of make this pick.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of positive also coming out about Colston Loveland from the analyst side, though, which is nice for what they had here. He really was the Michigan offense. In the 3 games that Colston Loveland missed last year, Michigan only had 169 passing yards. Like, that was it. Like, it
The quarterback play was so bad, man.
It was
So
really bad. But even going to some of the others, Nick Saban, saying another one of the recruits that we lost was Colston Loveland, beat us in the playoffs. This guy's a fantastic athlete. He's the best receiver of all the tight ends in the draft, in my opinion. Pat McAfee saying he loves this pick more than any other thus far in the NFL draft, with the Bears selecting Loveland. And I mean, 4.5 speed out of a tight end is not something you necessarily see every day. So I mean, that's the other thing, that this is going to be a major separator. And if we want to go historics, Bears tight ends taken in the first round: Mike Ditka, 1961, Greg Olson, 2007. That's it.
Yep.
So pedigree wise, like the Bears, different regimes, but it's pretty darn good company from a tight end position, that things seem to be working the way that they are. But the separation, I mean, there are lots and lots and lots of video out there talking about Colston Loveland's separation skills at the second and third level, and I think that's something that we really need to kind of hone in on, is a breakaway, and just what also this means for Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, to get open and really break out that underneath. Because you can imagine having Colston Loveland there, and then maybe lining up DJ Moore or Roma Dunze in the slot, just to really break that entire second level wide open and get that the yards after catch through the roof, which we all know DJ Moore is more than capable of doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, plus red zone, when you got a near 6'6" guy, that's going to help in terms of that area of the field and scoring touchdowns. A few other small things here, because I think we're ending here pretty soon, y'all. One is in terms of Colston Loveland, his second contract. So he's 21 now, right? 21, 22, 23, 24. If you pick up a 50-year option, 25. His second contract, he'll start to be 26 years old. So that's something I think that when you add to it, like there's added value, because you might get potentially even 3 contracts out of a guy when normally you get, maybe 2 with like a Tyler Warren. And the other one is this: you want to talk about like the character makeup and the work ethic, etc. This guy won a national championship at Michigan. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, that's something that hasn't been done in forever there. And he was like the marked guy. And if you want to go conspiracy theory, which I know Steven's kind of alluded to,
I love it.
And then you stayed alluded to this thing with Pete Carroll. He's going to know insight about JJ McCarthy, right? You talk about it was his receiver, right? When we faced him in Minnesota. Oh, hey, when he does this is a little tell. He's going to know some things that could help us too. So there's so many good things about this pick.
Hey, who just selected Shamar Stewart?
Cincinnati?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So
I wanted Green Bay to take him.
Well, here's the thing.
I think you were on the same page as I am, so go ahead.
What if Will Johnson ends up in Green Bay? All right, which is because there's uncertainty there with Jair Alexander. But now all of a sudden, the Bears just took a tight end at 10, playing into the conspiracy theory talk here. You took a tight end at 10 that is going to have intel on JJ McCarthy, and he's going to have intel on Green Bay's possibly their newest corner, and Lucky, I believe it is. We really love the fact that you guys tuned in for this, and we really thank you guys for your support stuff. But what were you gonna say, Stephen?
No, what I was gonna say was the Trey Hendrickson talk. Now that they're taking an edge, all the talk about Trey Hendrickson getting traded, does that reopen taking an edge at 17?
Because they got Miles Murphy, right? Isn't that their other one?
Yeah. I'm starting to have the thoughts. I'm going to go conspiracy theory here, that this might be a precursor move to something that they might move on day 2, to shift some things around, because that talk quieted real quick. But this makes me think there might be some fire from where that smoke was earlier in the season. I'm just throwing it out there that is a possibility. I'm so glad the Bears didn't take him.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. See, here's where I'm at with the Trey Hendrickson stuff. And by the way, it's a name that I haven't even thought about or discussed ever since the Bears free agent signings. But like, part of me kind of looks at moves like these. I think, we hear about this stuff all the time in terms of, oh, players going to get traded, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And if, big name player gets traded, that player's going to want a contract extension. Now, I can certainly see the Bears making room on the books for it. Part of me is also just like, next year's a big year because they're not going to have, as much money to spend, but they can obviously now, you think that maybe they do move on from Cole Kmet next year to create another 10 million in cap space. Plus, some of the other money that's going to come off the books. The other part of this whole thing, I think, is this though, is it's just like realistic. If you're Cincinnati and you're looking at this, like you re-upped your 2 wide receivers this offseason. So you clearly are proving that, you want to go ahead and you still think you can compete. You have a new defensive coordinator in Al Golden, I believe, who comes over from Notre Dame. So you're hoping that he kind of is able to keep the defense intact and is able to really help you compete in what's going to be a pretty interesting AFC North. But the other part of this is, does it really make sense for the Bears now? Because would they really want to dip into 2026 draft capital? And obviously, right, like no trades happening without a contract extension. Next year's draft class is when the Bears are going to be picking at 32, by the way. That's at least my prediction. So I've been consistent in saying all that, even though you guys are going to find that once the season comes around, I'm going to be pretty pissed off about a lot of things. But like I look at it and I'm kind of just like,
honest.
yeah, exactly. Like here's the thing. When these big trades go down, going back to Trey Hendrickson talk, a lot of times that player is not traded within the conference. He's traded out of the conference. Okay, that's the first thing. That's the trend we've seen. Like DK Metcalf just went from Seattle to Pittsburgh. Okay, different conferences. The second thing is you need to have a big contract extension like already in place. Otherwise, players and agents aren't going to approve the trade. The third thing I think is this is for a team like the Bears. I mean, does it really make sense? To me, you're only doing it if you fully believe that this roster that you built is going to allow you to add Trey Hendrickson to it and then take the jump from being worst to first, wild card team to perennial playoff contender, all the way up to Super Bowl contender. That's the only way I can see it happening.
Yeah. That's right. But I mean, when you get into the window of rookie quarterback contract, I mean, that's the time to make that type of move, but you have to be calculated. Is this the move or not? The only thing I want with Trey Hendrickson is that I just don't want him to end up where this draft is taking place right now. That's it.
Fair enough.
That's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, for what he's done from a pass rush standpoint, though, it's what he is capable of doing is something that the Bears have clearly lacked. And I think if the edge rusher is the position that the Bears kind of ignore again in the draft here, and Dio's the main piece that they add this offseason, there's going to be a lot of people questioning what exactly are they doing? Because as we all know, there is going to be a little bit more aggressiveness to what Dennis Allen is going to throw at opposing offenses. And I think you need to have the right personnel in place. And I'm not necessarily sure if that personnel is currently on this roster. And maybe they will be by tomorrow night, that they feel a little bit more confident about that. But again, at the same time, it's not every day that you can also add, somebody who's led the conference and the league over the last 2 years in sacks with really no signs of slowing down. So again, like you mentioned, the rookie quarterback window, everything has been built that way. Every single contract that the Bears have had folks sign over, this past couple months here has been 3-year deals. It has been all around, when does Caleb Williams need an extension? When is that 5th-year option ready? They know. And I think that if it's something that they consider to be, again, taking that next leap, picking at 32 next year, that, that is something that they should obviously consider, because I don't think there's many other options out there to make that type of leap for the impact that he makes. Pick 18 is in as well.
Yeah,
Grace Zabel.
My guy got picked. My guy got picked. I love Gray Zabel. I want to talk about another pick that recently happened because I feel like I'm a little on an island of this one. Okay, Tyler Warren to the Colts. Okay, their quarterback is so bad, and they're like, well, this helps him out. Well, okay, they have Michael Pittman Jr. They spent a second on Alec Pierce, Bears draft. Remember, we didn't take him. They spent a third on Josh Downs. They spent a second on Adonai Mitchell last year. That's 4 receivers with day 3 picks. Okay. They spent a third on Jelani Woods a couple of years ago, tight end. And now you have Jonathan Taylor, obviously, loaded up. And then they spend another first on another weapon. It's like maybe, again, outlier. Maybe the weapons aren't the problem, Colts. You know what I mean? If we got to think about this, like if we had the tight end, you think, oh, adding Tyler Warren's going to change everything, unless Tyler Warren's going to play quarterback.
Well, I mean, they got Daniel Jones there too. I think everyone forgets that they added Daniel Jones to compete with Anthony Richardson. I mean, to me at this point, like I've kind of accepted every year when I see like a random Colts fans tweets pop up on my timeline about like, hey, they need to fire Chris Ballard. I mean, I look at this and I'm like, Chris Ballard's been there, 11 years at this point? Like he was hired the same year that Ryan Poles was. And it's just year in and year out been complete incompetence. Oh, yeah, pace. That's it. Sorry. That's what happens when you
Ryans.
go.
The Ryans.
Well, dude, there's the Ryans. There was the Matts. There was the Mark as well. So yeah, a hell of a lot of too much alliteration for the Bears. But you look at it, right, and it's just like Ballard was hired the same year as Ryan Pace, and yet he's never really been able to kind of get that team up top, which just tells me at that point that I mean, let's call it how it is, people. As much as we've criticized Bears ownership, let's just be happy that Jim Irsay doesn't own the Bears. All right, at least the Bears ownership group is they do it a year too late or a year too early sometimes, but at least they make a change when they're supposed to.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone was drooling over Chris Ballard after his first year, calling him this amazing GM and front office guy, and it's yeah, between that and Jim Irsay being Jim Irsay, yeah, that's a fun place to be. if you're a football fan as an Indianapolis Colts fan. That much is for sure. It seems like just had to give it a little bit more time and let things settle. And it turns out the Bears, I think, have a little bit better outlook on things here. But yeah, it's a lot of picks on a lot of weapons.
Sorry.
Go for it.
There's just comments on Twitter, and you talked about the people from Bar. Like, if you're new to this, y'all, this is gonna be like, I mean, my final thoughts on this, because I knew we we're gonna get out of here, but like Colston Loveland, I feel like people don't know his game. He's a good football player. Like, this is not oh man, they really reached. They were in no man's land. There was no offensive lineman there that made sense. There was no defensive lineman there that made sense besides Mike Green. But again, there's the off the field stuff. Jalen Walker, which is a tweener position. To me, like, you're no man's land. If you can't trade out, then you get the best football player. And to me, I liked him more than Tyler Warren. Younger, bigger, longer, I think has more upside. And why would we question Ben Johnson on picking a tight end? I have all these fears of tight ends not developing. Ben Johnson's made it work. We literally saw it 2 years ago. And then what happened? Yep. Even last year, Sam Laporta got dinged up a little bit, but still had a good second year. Like, that's a good position. He knows how to work them in. So to me, like, I see all this pushback of like, I don't get it. Bad pick. They should have went here or there. There was no really great player there. And I knew it. If they didn't trade up or trade down, I was going to feel whelmed. It's basically for that pick. and that's how I feel. But this wasn't like a bad pick at all.
No, and like you said, coming from a board that leaned as a D for the Bears at 10, in your opinion, I mean, I think the more that the fan base reads into him and sees his tape, there's going to be more positive than negative in terms of the feedback to this pick and what this is going to mean. everyone is understanding what this position, what this player is, and it's a matter of just understanding he's going to be a matchup nightmare for wherever the Bears set him up, and it's going to pay its dividends. Bears fans, be patient. That's really the message right now is be patient. Let him cook. I think Ben Johnson just needs to get in, get his offense set, and make some things happen, and it'll work out. It'll work out in the end. For what they're building at Hallis Hall for sure. So we've got a lot more coming this weekend in terms of our NFL coverage. The Bears with 2 second-round picks tomorrow night, along with a third-round pick. And then on top of that, we'll see if they like to trade a lot on day 3. It's something that Ryan Poles it's part of his repertoire each and every year. We'll see what happens there as well. But Bears far from done with the blue chip picks coming in, and we're going to be here to break it all down here with the Bear Report and what Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have up their sleeves for the rest of the weekend. Final thoughts before we close things out here. You said we'll start with you.
Yeah, keep it locked into the Bear Report here. I'm actually publishing a series this weekend breaking down how every single prospect that the Bears draft fits the team, and all that really good stuff. Couple film breakdowns coming in these articles as well. So for sure, keep it locked here if you want the inside scoop on everything that's happening with this team.
Nick.
I don't feel bad about this. I don't love it, but to me it makes sense. And I really want Bears fans to dive into the film. I know you say it's gonna have some articles going on. We'll talk through it more. I feel fine. I feel fine right now. Now we'll see how we feel here in the next hour with the rest of the division making picks. But this made Chicago better. This made Caleb Williams better, and this helps Ben Johnson's offense. So this is a win for Chicago.
Yep, absolutely. And look at it this way. It might look a little vanilla on paper. We're adding all the other toppings as the offseason goes along. You learn more about Colston Loveland's game and what he's going to mean to this offense. It for all things considered, it is something that will pay its dividends in due time. So be patient, enjoy it, and we'll see what else the Bears choose to do. Maybe they'll shock us and we'll be back on here after they trade back into the first round tonight. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll anything is possible, even though there's no trades happening. I don't quite understand that either, but we do appreciate each and every one of you who have hung out with us tonight here on the Bear Report's NFL Draft Show. Like I said, we'll be here all weekend breaking down what the Bears have up their sleeve for the 2025 NFL Draft and what it means for the 2025 NFL season. So for you said Koshel, for Nick Whalen, I'm Steven Johnson. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you very, very soon with more NFL Draft and Chicago Bears coverage. Have a good night, everybody. Whoa!